that there's a turn-based game that's quite gripped me, or, had me in an absolute chokehold than Darkest Dungeon. I adore everything about this game, from the very highly stylized art direction to the Victorian Gothic setting to the really fun, addictive, and, almost like puzzle solving gameplay. And of course, Lin Jun's narration just cherry on top. And I need to tell you about it.
What is it, where is it, how will it affect me? Your ancestor got really bored one day and decided to dig up whatever was in the basement, but in the process released some eldritch horrors into the world, as one does. Now it's your job to fix it, which, in my experience, is a way less stressing scenario than my grandpa left me a farm in a sleepy town. You start off making your way to the hamlet, your base of operations, escorted by the two ride or dies of the game. Do not let them die, I swear to God. We have Dismas the Highwayman, the most dripped out character in the game. Versatile damage dealer, works well in any position on your team, kinky, and gives really, really good head. More on that later. Then we have a crusader named Reynold. He works well as a good all-rounder, mostly for tanking and support, but can definitely dish out damage when needed. Good job, Reynold. Unfortunately, he always starts with the kleptomaniac quirk and steals all of my emeralds, thus proving that all paladins are bastards. Your main gameplay loop revolves around doing quests in various regions of the game, so that way you can invest into the infrastructure of the hamlet and build it up, so that way you're ready to enter the final area of the game, which is so aptly named the Darkest Dungeon, and confront whatever is down there. I do think it's really cool how each region is very distinct and plays into different gothic horror tropes. The ruins are chock full of skeletons and necromancers. The warrens with various beasts, usually pigmen, and gross amalgamated flesh. The Weald leans more into folk horror with witches and fungal aberrations, and the Cove has fishmen a la Innsmouth, and the courtyard is just infested with vampiric gentry. Not to mention the very otherworldly crystalline creatures in the farmstead. Certain heroes work better in certain areas, so when you're team building, it's very important to consider. I forgot to mention the heroes, didn't I? Okay, so every week the stagecoach brings new characters into the hamlet. There's 16 individual character classes in total, which is great for build variety, especially since you can now put the religious characters, Leper, Crusader, Vestal, and Flagellant with the Abomination, which wasn't always the case, but personally I do like the change just for pure team building, but I do also like the world building through mechanics aspect, so a part of me does wish that they kept it in. Speaking of characters, okay, let me tell you about my favorites. So, you have the Abomination. Tortured and reclusive, this man is cuter than he seems. So, Big B, yes, I like using the canon names, get off my case. He is the goodest boy. He has the sick-ass side cut, rad scarring, always styling on main. He's ready for the goth club, always. This man is peak utility. Mans can stun, mans can blight, mans can self-heal. But more importantly, he attack. And we all love a good werewolf. Where goat, where beast. Abomination is really cool because he's sort of the first character that you kind of learn that, oh, you can play each character in very different ways. Like, say, you can play your leper more as a damage dealer or a tank, but that's not really outright told to you, versus the Abomination, whose two skill sets are very much separated by the transform mechanic. We love and support our best boy and will not tolerate A-bomb slander in our venerable house. Next up, hot damn, it's your boy, the Highwayman. Man simply deals damage and gets the job done. Dismiss is good in any position, kinky, and has great moves like stab, stab with bleed, stab with riposte. He does not need a license for that. And my personal favorite, shot directly in the face. He's got action economy on lockdown, high crit chance, and on top of it, he gives great head. Oh, that's a head. That's Dismiss's head in a bag. What the fuck? What the fuck is going on? Wait, no, but that can't be his head in his bag. He's right here. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Look at his drip. The leather trench, the red scarf. Sir, did you raid my closet? The red gloves? It's Bloodborne chic. Serving Victorian Gothic. They also made him jacked as fucking sequel, like, damn, Red Hook, I didn't know you were chill like that, thank you for your service. Anyways, moving on. It's no surprise that Hellion is one of my all-time favorites. My girl Boudica, absolute queen. High damage, lots of bleed, she can reach every enemy rank. There's a reason you take her to a boss fight. My girl can stun, self-heal, she's got all her bases covered. Coolest battle axe, rad hairstyle, sick makeup, and on top of being so club ready, hell, she's the one bringing me to the cookout. You know what? Best girl, 10 out of 10. Cultist also gets an honorable mention as he's great for both stunning and debuffing, can heal from anywhere, for both a crazy range. We pretend that crit zero bleed does not exist. And also just an incredibly cool designed character. And honestly, I do appreciate the fact that he canonically has a liberal arts degree, and yeah, it's kind of accurate that a liberal arts grad would make a pact with an eldritch entity as a viable career path. Trust me, I've tried. Okay, time for combat. You know, the other half of the game. So usually I'm not a fan of roguelikes. Roguelites? Roguelikes? Okay, if I'm being really honest here, I think Darkest Dungeon is more of like an XCOM kind of game. But semantics. So as I was saying, I'm not a huge fan of roguelikes or turn-based RPGs, which, I mean, yeah, it is essentially a turn-based RPG. But there is something about the game that keeps me coming back, and I can't exactly pinpoint what, but I can definitely point to, say, the, like, overall Victorian Gothic setting, which is definitely my favorite genre of thing. The very stylized graphics, which are very easy to read, and the combat is also really easy to understand, like, both on a, like, basic level of understanding things like, you know, health versus stress damage, or to sort of more complex level of threat assessment and action economy. And it's really fun because you kind of get a sense of treating combat like a puzzle. Like, okay, out of the backline of the enemy team, you know, usually the more threatening enemies, I have to target the stress dealer more so than the range damage dealer, since I'm on a team that's running more healers, so rather than, like, you know, stress healers. I also really appreciate that the DLCs, specifically the Crimson Court, really add into the complexity of the game. whether it's through, vampirism as a mechanic, or the Countess with her shuffle dot mechanic, which is. I don't think there is a boss in this game that I've had more trouble with than the Countess. Kudos. Stressful fight, fun fight. I love it. But I also feel like there's something like new to the game, even, going after like 300 plus hours. And I think that's also just something that really draws me in, that like despite, having played through so much, that it just still feels very fresh. It does also feel like you're making tangible progress in the game. Like, even if combat goes south, like, I feel like with most rogue lights, I don't know. I'm like, they do this cop out thing of like, oh, like it's the knowledge you get there, like that's the progress, and like, yeah, sure, but it doesn't feel super tangible. And I think this is what I like about Darkest Dungeon. Like, sure, there's character permadeath, and you, like, must learn from your mistakes. But at the very least, I can, retreat from a quest if things go badly. I can take back whatever heirlooms and trinkets I've gathered and use them for permanently upgrading the town. Or, having some trinkets to use later, and it doesn't feel like I'm getting nowhere.
Another thing I really enjoy is the world building of this game. You so you have all your information delivered to you by your ancestor, and he ends up narrating the entire game, and it adds so much presence. I mean, think about it. The thing that people remember the most, other than the, game's difficulty, are those iconic opening lines of Ruin has come to our family. And it's really cool that you have this like combination of the like somber and cryptic writing and the charisma of Wayne June's narration, and it adds so much character to the game.
Something else that really adds to the sort of dark and murky tone of the game is the fact that your characters also have very short and concise one-page comic backstories and bits and pieces of dialogue through barks in the game, as they're called, the little speech bubbles. And it's all kept very, well, vague, and it really adds to the mystery of the game. And you only get slivers and pieces, and like, I think that's really cool, because that's also reflected in the Crimson Court trinkets, and also just like generally learning about the world through picking up, journal entries, which you find. This game does the show don't tell rule of storytelling so well. The world is mysterious, but you can definitely figure out if you're curious enough and pay attention. And very occasionally, you can stumble upon something that clues you into the true nature of this place. This is where the head jokes start to make sense. So there are 3 specific trinkets that you can get in game, either from the collector, a roaming mini-boss, or secret rooms, the heads of Dismas, Junia, and Barstan. But wait, isn't Dismas the name of the highwayman that we started with? There is something strange going on for sure. Aside from the litany of skeletons and fishmen, and chances are this is probably your first introduction to the more abstract nature of this place. Also, as a side note, Junia and Barstan are the canon names for the Vestal men-at-arms, if you're wondering. So it's time for you to enter the final area, and once again, this game does a fantastic job at environmental storytelling. Blackened steps lead up to heavy doors pushed slightly ajar, a piercing red light inside, flooding out of the gap, almost as if it's tempting, nay, daring you to look inside. And venture in we must, there's no turning back now. The interior is just as sinister. Sharp protrusions of stone and metal twist the landscape. Cultists racked with hideous flesh growths stalk these halls. And all that set to a stark, blinding red sky. Even pieces of the architecture seem to have been molded by the flesh and given malicious sentience. And then you see it. The thing that you're hunting down. It's many dark eyes focusing directly at you, tentacled limbs undulating and writhing in unnatural fashion. Its giant maw with suspiciously human-like teeth, gaping, waiting. This is the shuffling horror. Now, if you were like me and actively enjoyed shoving torches into those red altar curios, what is wrong with you? You're probably familiar with the Shambler mini-boss, so it might not come as a surprise that its cousin is the first quest in the final area, but that's sort of where the cleverness of the storytelling comes in. If this is your first time seeing a writhing mass like this, then it'll come as a shock, but it'll be a valuable clue as to what's really going on. So say you have encountered a Shambler before. It's a random mini-boss that you can spawn from those red altars or encounter in low torchlight. Much like the head trinkets, this also acts as an indicator of the more eldritch nature of this state, as there are no enemies like the Shambler that commonly appear in this state. And by that I mean sort of incomprehensible tentacled mass that appears from a void, not the eldritch enemy subtype. Keen eyes may notice that the shuffling horror has also been corrupted by this mystery flesh, unlike its counterpart. Just what lies in the heart of this place? Well, we'll get to that, but isn't it cool that this sort of storytelling still gives you the what the fuck moment of seeing a tentacled monster, but lets you pick up more clues if you've dug a little deeper before? As you delve deeper into the dungeon, the more the environment seems to change. Flesh and eyes creep up on the walls until the very halls are consumed. Are we still in the manor, or have we entered a living organism? You are indeed inside something alive. This was not a man-made creation like the horrors in the Warrens. No, this is organic. This is something beyond our understanding. And all of it comes to a head once you reach the heart. Your ancestor is here, but is it really him? He died when he sent you the letter, though, right? He, or whatever this thing is, explains to you that your ancestor did indeed find what was buried beneath the manor, and he is now its vessel. This thing feeds on life. Every hero that died here is just unknowingly aiding it, and you were the ones who sent them down there. Directly into the jaws of torment. After a hearty sparring match with the thing that wears your ancestor's face, it molds and reshapes its flesh. The ancestor is right when he says, "Prey does not take too hideous a form." Staring you down is the heart of darkness. This primordial entity is what your ancestor found. No wonder he went mad seeing this gargantuan force. And a force it is. The heart demands sacrifice. 2 of your party members must die. 1 at each health threshold the heart hits. Unless you manage to one-shot the heart or bring a single character to fight it. This was terrifying the first time round, and to a degree it's still very stress-inducing. Imagine having to fight some sort of eldritch god that's older than the earth itself, and you only have half a team. And if you manage to endure and strike the final blow, you're rewarded with the final piece of this puzzle. This heart of darkness is the heart of the world. It's a primordial force that is both this world's creator and its inevitable destructor. By unearthing the small vestige of it, the estate is now trapped in a time loop, feeding off what it can until it no longer needs to lay dormant.
I genuinely love this game. It is bleak, it is brutal, it is fun, and dare I say, weirdly hopeful. To me, Darkest Dungeon is a game about doing things in spite of their difficulty. Like, sure, you go up against an like eldritch god, and it just resets a time loop, but you progress through a very difficult game to even get to the final boss, and hey, that's an accomplishment. And on a more personal note, this game has gotten me through a lot of rough situations, and I wouldn't have met so many like cool and wonderful people if I didn't, make my way through and learn a really difficult game and, make cosplay from it. And the irony that my comfort game has a stress mechanic is not lost on me. But I guess that's sort of the point, isn't it? Like, just because something's difficult doesn't mean that it's not worth doing. And I think Darkest Dungeon is a really, really good lesson in that, and I think you should play it as well. Give it a shot. You might like it. Just don't get too stressed out.